Let's go to Richard in Milford. Richard.
Hey, guys. How you doing?
Good. How are you?
Yeah, so I want to talk to Don specifically about, I was listening to the podcast earlier, and huge fan. Don really wants the Mets to sell at the deadline, and I really don't think that Don understands kind of what we have in the pipeline here.
What does that mean?
We have pitching process. We have pitching process coming up. We have Christian Scott.
Right.
We have Blake Tidwell.
Right.
We have Mike Vassell. And I mean, I'd rather just go for it now. We can win, and we can still be a sustained winner.
Go for what? You're 7 games under 500.
But we're 3 games out.
But see,
it doesn't matter how many games under.
Well, no, it does, because you got to climb over all those teams. You have to climb over all those teams. And I understand that they've built up a nice minor league, especially after getting rid of Verlander and Scherzer. But you could always get better. Again, I'm not saying this sell-off for nothing, but, if somebody calls and wants Marte or wants Alonso or for some reason would want McNeil, I don't know why anybody would want him at this particular point. I mean, I'm gonna listen, because I'm getting just so irritated about, there are only 3 out. There's only 2 teams in all of the National League that are worse than the Mets, the Marlins and the Rockies. You're not a good baseball team. What run are you making?
Yeah, but I agree with Richard.
Look at the schedule in the beginning of July, please. The Mets play the Nationals for 4, the Pirates for 3, the Nationals for 3, and the Rockies for 3.
All right, I've been down this road before. Well, look at the schedule, Don. Look how easy the schedule is.
I don't understand why you'd sell now when there's a pathway for us to be a winner.
Because there is no path. Don't be fooled by this fugazi garbage. Major League Baseball right now is in an awful state. There's only 10 teams that are above 500. What are you making a run to? Well, I want to know. If
I agree with Richard, and I heard what you said yesterday. All you have to do is get in. Right. I mean, nobody thought the Diamondbacks were going to the World Series last year.
And now they're 6 games under 500.
Don, so you don't feel crazy? I'm with you.
Here's the deal that people don't realize: the Mets players that everyone wants to trade away have no value. They're not going to get anything special for them. I think that making the playoffs, even as a fugazi third wild card, is much more valuable to the franchise than trading Pete Alonso. He's not going to get you anything back. He's got 3 months left on his contract.
Well,
Starling Marte's not going to get you anything back. No one's giving anything up for McNeil. No one.
And that's what I said. I don't think they're getting anything for McNeil. But, Marte's playing well right now. Somebody experiences an injury and they offer you something. I'm not saying that you sell off for the sake of selling off.
But I'm not saying don't sell off, Don. But why don't you wait until the trade deadline?
Because now guys could get hurt, and now you don't get anything for them. Again, I would like. Can we at least get to 500 for God's sakes? I mean, I don't believe in this whole, well, you might be able to find a way to get in. First of all, I don't know. You got to climb over all of these teams. Mm-hmm. All right, let's see with this schedule and take advantage of it. You just took 2 out of 3 from the Marlins. Good on them, but you barely got those 2 wins that you got. You needed a walk-off home run from Martinez last night to just be able to get that. You've got 18,000 people in the building. No one believes. I mean, it is. I mean, I look and I evaluate, what are we? So if you want to do some kind of fugazi run, not make it, maybe you could have gotten something for these guys who are all going to walk in free agency. The reason they went and got all these 1-year contracts on Martinez and Severino was because they could trade them and get maybe something for them. Not if it didn't work out. So they're 7 games under 500. They're not a great offensive team whatsoever. There's only 2 teams in the entire league worse than they are. But because Major League Baseball is so bad, I've got to believe there are only 3 out. Where are you going? What are you doing?
But the Diamondbacks don't show you anything from last year?
The Diamondbacks got off to a terrific start, if you remember, last year, and then they kind of fell apart and then got hot late, and they made it to the World Series. And now are they sitting 4 games under 500? Mm-hmm. I want to try to build something here instead of making an occasional little blip fugazi run. I'd like to be able to build something strong.
You're not going to build something strong by trading those guys.
I don't need you say that. But how do I know that?
Well, I mean, I'm sure that David Stearns is going to, investigate it.
Well, that's all I'm asking him to do.
I believe that it's more valuable to sneak into the playoffs and get swept in the wild card round than to get the piddling kind of prospects you're going to get for trading any of the guys you mentioned.
That's your opinion. I don't know that to be a fact. I don't know what you can get in return for anybody at a given time.
You're willing to suffer all the outrage of the fans for trading Alonso.
Yeah. All right. Listen again. 18,000 people are showing up, so nobody believes anyway. Michael,
well,
they got hot for a little bit.
They're still Met fans.
I'm just giving you my opinion. Is that you want to build up a minor league system, and you're going to have all these guys walk at the end of the year, and you want to believe in some sort of a miracle run. The team isn't good. When do we stop looking at the team and say, you know what, this is not a team capable of a run? They're not very good. They're 7 games under 500. Now, if they start to get hot and they sweep the Padres or whatever, then obviously we can reevaluate. I'm not saying just give them away for nothing, but if I get a phone call and somebody offers me something attractive for Alonso that I like, I am not going to say no because we're 3 games out of the playoff spot. I'm with you. If they offer you nothing, then you hold on to them. It's silly. If you're right, if all of these guys that are in the walk year of their contract and you don't believe they can get anything for them, that they're all going to just be awful ball players, a bag of balls, then of course you hold on to them. But I'm not going to sit there and maybe get something in return that can help me in the future because I think they might be able to climb over almost half the league and sneak into the playoffs and get swept in the first round.
But you want them to trade people now on June 14th if they could. So you're going to pull the plug on the season on June 14th?
What season? Can you explain to me what the season is?
But there's 3 wild card teams, Don. You just said everybody in baseball is terrible. 20 teams are under 500. Why can't the Mets make one of the wild card?
Because they're not good.
But what? Somebody's got to make it, Don.
Yeah, all the teams that are ahead of them. There's 2 teams behind them in the National League, and I'm supposed to believe they're the team that's going to make a run. They're sleepwalking. Alonso is all this burst of energy. It's almost like he doesn't care to be there anymore. Nobody's showing up to the ballpark. I'd like to know where all this is coming from. So I'm trying to build something sustainable, but now I'm going to throw all that potential away because maybe, just maybe, they can have some sort of a miracle. I saw the Giants try it and ended up digging themselves a grave because of it. Maybe we'll get in. They'll sneak in with Eli and we'll win a Super Bowl. And then you're still stuck in a hole.
I don't know if you guys saw this. Talk about like a bad contract. The Astros released Jose Abreu. Last year, he signed a 3-year, $60 million contract. He has $30 million left on his contract, and they just gave him away. He stopped being able to hit. It's unbelievable.
That's crazy.
I mean, to get to that level where you're just willing to part ways
and eat that money.
He forgot how to play. He's just gone.
He is. You know, he's an older player, but I mean, to lose it that quickly, I don't know. Wow. Go ahead.
No, baseball is that sport, it feels like, where when, for some reason, once people hit the cliff, Michael, it can be so bad and so abrupt.
Let's go to Henry in South Carolina.
Michael, Don, Peter, first time, long-ish time.
Okay.
Just coming through via mostly podcast listening, but I got you live today.
Oh, thank you.
The Michael K. podcast, wherever you find your podcast.
Thank you.
So this kind of goes toward where you guys were headed with the Mets. I called in response mostly to the thoughts moving the game. I mostly agree with Michael here. I'm coming from a old Yankee fan since I was 5. Lived through the hatred of the real times. You know, A-Rod and Veritek and Pedro and Don Zimmer and everything. You know, all of the, let's call them the good times. And to see, I don't know, I feel like it kind of makes me sad to see them and feel like they almost fold to the NBA. I realize that a championship for the Celtics is a big deal, but I feel like I would like them to stand up for their.
Michael could be wrong. I believe the Yankees would do the same thing tonight.
I don't think they would.
What's the big deal?
I also don't think the Yankees would, only because it's either A, they don't need the Knicks fans if this is Knicks versus Yankees, right? So they don't need them to be watching, and also if it's this time of year, it's low. It's a low leverage kind of.
Well, thank you, Henry. But wouldn't you agree, though, Don? This is a half-pregnant move. You don't move it from 7 to 6:30. You move it from 7 to 5. So what are you doing? 6:30. I mean, the average game now is 240, 235, 240. You're still missing the beginning of the game.
But I don't think it's about the beginning of the game. It's about, being there for the end of the game, being there for the second half. I don't think they want to have people not show up because they don't want to possibly miss the NBA game. So you move it back 30 minutes, so what? And maybe it just keeps people, will get people to decide, all right, I can do both. I can go to the game, and now I can get home in time for the second half of the game. I think they would do the same thing if the Knicks and Rangers had a chance to win a championship or were in the final, especially a Knicks team that hasn't won in 51 years.
Don, we were alive in 1994. The Rangers won a cup in the seventh game. Do you remember the Yankees or the Mets moving their game time? I don't. I've never heard of this.
I don't remember it happening, but you're starting to see it happen a little bit. But I don't know what the harm is. Right? I mean, so you're making it convenient. Hey, it's a big New York moment. The Knicks have a chance, let's say, to win a championship for the first time in 51 years. Do you really want to have to be maybe playing a game while that's going on? Maybe if you started it at 6:30, maybe there's a chance that those people will be able to get home in the second half, and you don't have to play in front of a building that's half full, or having to entertain people by showing highlights between innings.
Well,
I just think it's trying to be convenient.
What about the optics?
What are the optics?
We're the lesser league.
No, this is such a stupid argument. It's one of 162, and one of the teams in your city is winning a championship.
It's a clinch.
Come on.
I get it, but if you don't learn from history, you're doomed to repeat it. This weekend at Fenway Park, it was all Philly fans. It's gonna be mostly Yankee fans. So who are you moving it for?
With this, though?
Yeah, but you're just trying to be convenient. Like, hey, it's Boston. We care about our teams in Boston, and we don't want to be in the way of what could be a really cool moment. So instead of playing a game in front of a building full of Yankee fans,
they'd still get home in time for the end of the game. But if you started at 7 o'clock,
maybe it's even for the hardcore Red Sox fans who are at home and want to watch on TV and then just watch the Celtics game on television. It's a much bigger thing for everybody. You can't fight it.
But nobody is. But even if you believe that you're the bigger sport, the more important sport, isn't just a cool thing to do? All right. Well, you know what? Today the Celtics are more important, and we're going to try to make it as convenient for people that are Celtic and Red Sox fans. I don't understand why it's that big of a deal. And if you move it to 5 o'clock, now you might be really inconveniencing people that don't care about the Celtics that now aren't going to be able to make the game because they're still at work. So it's just a 30-minute change.
Yeah, but that doesn't mean anything, 30 minutes. It doesn't mean anything.
But it could mean the difference from a guy that decides, I'm not going to go to the game because I want to at least be able to get home in time for the second half. Or as Peter said, for your fans at home that are going to say, you know what, I'm a big Red Sox fan, but I don't want to have to make the decision. Now there's a chance that game is going to be over.
It's just so funny to me, though. The Red Sox have operated the last couple of years like they don't give a damn about their fans. Now all of a sudden they do tonight. They don't care. They haven't spent a dime on the team. They've traded Mookie Betts.
But they still think they're doing what's right by their organization. You may disagree with it.
Their fan base. They've lost their fan base. They don't come to games anymore. So today you're going to be the big, proud, good Red Sox owners when you refuse to spend money on the team.
But I really don't know what the negative is. You say the optic. What's the optic? The optic is, you know what? Today the Celtics are more important, and let's try to be as convenient as possible for the fans that want to be able to consume both. I don't think it's that big of a deal. I mean, are you really hurting your brand by doing that? I think a lot of other sports would do the same thing.
Give me instances. I don't recall it being done.
Oh, I definitely recall being done. I mean, I can't think of one of them, but I remember it happening. Say again, Anthony?
Line 6 says it's happened before.
All right, well, there you go. Line 6 says it happened before.
All right, we'll come and get Line 6 when we come back.